Hi, this is Trya. Welcome to CKTV, and I'm here with CK, and we are here talking about emotional intelligence. So CK, for those of us who may not know what that is, can you tell us what it is?
Absolutely. Emotional intelligence is something that's measured based on our self-awareness, the awareness that we have in others, also taking those emotions and harnessing them and using them for problem solving and decision making, as well as navigating through our emotions and maybe either calming someone down, and that's called regulating our emotions.
So I understand why IQ is important in everyday life, but I don't quite understand why my EQ is important. Can you explain it in comparison to like your IQ?
Sure. A lot of people, Trya, they know they've got an IQ, but a lot of people don't understand that we have an EQ. And so while you may be really brilliant, you could have a really low EQ. And like I can be chronologically a specific age, but emotionally I am much younger.
Okay, so can you give me some examples of how that would play out in my life? Like, what does that look like?
Well, how it looks like for me, when I was younger, Trya, I had someone in my life who was extremely critical of me. And what that did is it caused me to have a very low self-esteem. And so when I would go into situations, whether in relationships or maybe even school or business, because my confidence was so low that I didn't think I deserved, or did I even feel that I could excel in anything, whatever I was pursuing, I didn't believe that I could excel in it. Another thing that it caused in me was that I was very hypercritical of myself.
Okay.
Another thing that I would do is it made me very self-destructive. So not only did I abuse street drugs for a number of years, which if I understood my worth and value, I would have never put something harmful in my body. I would never have risked killing myself. But I would attract, Trya, men and women in my life to come into my life and to abuse me and to create this kind of comfortable chaos that I was used to. But probably the craziest and the most debilitating thing that it did for me is it caused me to be a self-loather.
Okay, so what is a self-loather and what does that look like?
Well, a self-loather, it means to literally arbor, which means to hate. So it would be fair to say that I hated myself.
How do you hate this? Okay, continue.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. Because when I would tell people that I hated myself or that I was a self-loather or that I wanted to cut myself up, I would get really sarcastic remarks like, "Girl, please."
Right, because I can't relate.
They cannot relate at all. But you've been walking with me for 12 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And thank goodness, because you're like a personal testimony to me that you can vouch that I have literally wanted to change my image so that I would fit or look into the image like I thought I should look. So for me, I wanted to start with the crown of my head.
Okay.
And I wanted to change the shape of my crown.
I mean,
don't test me.
It's fine. I'm just saying.
Oh my goodness. And I wanted to...
Okay. I was just checking my head. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. And so I wanted to change the shape of my eyes. I wanted them to be slanted, and I wanted to have this amazing, strong jawline, and I wanted to change everything in between.
Okay.
Including, as you know, I wanted to have my hips broken.
Okay, so I've never heard of that request before, so
Cher
explain.
gave me the idea on this one because
it was
supposedly rumored that Cher took out one of her ribs so that she could have a smaller waistline.
Okay.
So for me, I wanted straight, narrow hips.
Okay, so for a girl who has very straight, square hips.
I would love to have her hips.
I would love to have those hips. I'd be like, and I'd dance. Like, why didn't you do that? Why didn't you shake them? No?
I didn't want to draw attention to them.
Okay. So you were going to break your hips.
I was going to break my hips. But I didn't really think about what that would do for me. It could probably put me in a wheelchair.
Right.
Or maybe I had to walk with a walker.
Yes.
Oh,
could have been bad.
But you know what? I would have straight hips. That it would be all that mattered. Look at my straight hips.
Well, thank you, God. We did not get provision for breaking our hips.
We did not. But then I wanted to change the way my feet were shaped. And that was probably going to be the first surgery that I had. And so when I talk about my feet in crowds, it's funny to watch people's eyes because they go directly to my feet. And so let me just say, okay, because this happens to me all the time. Whenever I date people, one of the first things that a guy asks me is, "Do you have pretty feet?" And I'm going, "You are so duped."
Okay, wait. You're dating the wrong boys, okay?
I would say I was dating the wrong boys. But, all that would do is it would create this fear in me, because here they were commenting about my feet and they want to know if they're pretty, and I didn't think they were. So the feet were going to be like the first surgery that I was going to have. But I would say that because of my feet, I began to embrace them and embrace the rest of myself, because I believe that we're fearfully and wonderfully made. I believe that I have a unique calling or a unique destiny. And so that is literally how I was able to embrace everything, that I'm okay being unique.
And that is evidence of your EQ going up.
That is evidence that I have raised my EQ in that area. Most people may not have something so severe as that, but that's just a really good example of how that impacted so many things in my life.
Right. So if I'm hearing you correctly, your EQ impacts basically every relationship in your life. So the type of parent you are, or spouse, or friend, or employee, or employer. So if we have, and we can relate to any aspect of your story, not saying I can, but if we could, and we have a low EQ, are we just kind of SOL? Or is there something we can do to raise that?
We are not out of luck. That's the good news.
Okay.
So while it's harder to raise our IQ, we know that that's possible, but it's very easy. Well, we can raise our EQ. It's not always easy. It's going to take a lot of work. I say it's about a minimum of a 6-month investment into your own personal growth and development. It's going to be something that requires intentionality. You've got to be very intentional. Okay. So, but yes, to answer your question, very good news. We can raise our EQ.
That is good news. So we have to invest in ourselves a little bit. So how do we do that? Like, sign me up. Like, what does that look like?
Well, this is how it looks. First of all, you and I have been a life coach, or a type of life coach, for since 2010?
A little while.
A little while. And so while we are now working with professionals and corporations, they may not be able to identify with my story because it is a very severe example.
Okay.
But I do have an example where I went to work for a corporation, and I went to my CEO, and I wanted to implement a leadership program. These are things that I was learning back then. I was very excited about it. And he assured me that we did not need something like that, and neither did he. He proved that he had a hot mess of a family life, but that he was a very competent, very successful CEO. In fact, he was the CEO of 4 organizations under this major umbrella of this bank that I worked for here in Dallas. We got a phone call that said for us not to show up to work the next day because they were shutting the organization down immediately. And so what had happened is because of his deficiency in whatever area he was operating in that made him make a very bad decision, his family life bled over into his business, and so they shut that corporation down. And I think about all the lives that were affected by that one decision. So that's why it's so important that we have an EQ that's high, because we can problem solve so much better, as well as make better decisions. So what we do, Tyra, is we work with professionals and individuals, and we create an assessment. We give them tools that include inventory, journaling, as well as putting accountability in place, just to name a few. And so we're going to be doing future installments.
Well, that's great, CK. So if someone wanted to get a hold of you for either an assessment or a teaching, or they wanted you to come and actually do some training with their own team, or they wanted you to speak at an engagement, how would they get a hold of you?
Well, they can find me on all social media at Cynthia Kirtley TV.
That's awesome. So what are we going to look forward to next?
Well, we're going to continue to do installments on emotional intelligence. We're going to start giving tools.
Awesome.
And talk about accountability. And also, we are going to be talking about our high five challenge.
What is a high five challenge?
Well, I can't really tell you today. It's a secret. But we're going to reveal that in a future installment. We're very excited about it.
That is exciting.
Okay, Tyra, we are unstoppable.
Yes, we're going to the top and we can't be stopped. Straight to the top. Woo!
Okay, bye-bye.
Out.
Well, you can find me on all social media at Cynthia Kirtley TV.
Cynthia Kirtley TV.
Okay, I'll do it again. Well, they can find me on all social media at Hey, I've just always wanted to do this.